والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. As the second Ashara of Ramadan comes to an end, and soon we'll enter the last Ashara, the Ashara of Itqu min an-Nar, emancipation from the hellfire. And before we know it, this month will be taken away from us. This month is a microcosm of what our life should really look like. I recall that Hazrat Mufti Palanpuri Sahib Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayh, in one of his bayanat, he mentioned that the life of a mu'min is what is called dhikr amal and majmu'a amal. So he used these two terminologies, and we understand what amal means, actions and good deeds, amal salihah. So dhikr amal and majmu'a amal. Majmu'a amal is easy to understand, that what we do is that we try to pack as many amal in the limited time that we have in this earth. And so, for example, in this month, not only do we fast, but we read the Quran, we are praying salah, we are doing dhikr, all of those things and much, much more together, so we can maximize the time. And dhikr amal basically is an interesting concept, which means that when we do some good amal salihah, we don't just stop at that. Meaning the next day comes and next day we have to do more amal. What that means is, let's say Ramadan ends, the next day is Eid, and Eid is starts with the salah itself. And in itself is the hikmah that even our celebration is with the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it shows that it doesn't matter if it's the next day, raat gayi, baat gayi. It means that don't think, I just came out of this 1 month and now it means that I have like 5 months of rest. No. Next day you have to work and work more and work more and work more. And this is what life should really be. Because life, this time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, it's slowly ticking away. This life is melting away. Before you know it, it will be gone. It will slip from our hands and we won't even realize what happened. And so we have to make sure that our whole life is like this month of Ramadan, in the sense that we combine different amal. Don't leave any amal salihah thinking it is small, because we don't know which amal will be there from us that will be pleasing to Allah subhanahu. We don't know that. And don't do any sins thinking that it is small, because we don't know what's big in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what will be the cause of us getting, being held accountable. What might be small in our eyes may be really big in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have to be very vigilant of that fact, and whatever opportunities Allah Ta'ala gives us, we have to make use of it. Whether it is suhbah of our elders, whether it is suhbah of our peers, whether it is opportunity to gain ilm, whether it is opportunity to do dhikr. This is one of the things, and I think there was a qawl that has been attributed to Hazrat Ali radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that, shaitan gives us hope for a very, very long life. And so we'll keep on putting, no, I have good niyyah, but 6 months from now, or 1 year from now, or 5 years from now. Kaun jeeta hai tere zulf ke sar hone tak. Who knows? So hum kya hota hai? We wait because we think, we have good intentions. and we waste our time just based on good intentions. It cannot be. We have to do whatever we can in the limited time that we have. It won't be perfect. Nobody said it's going to be perfect, but it will be something. It will be something. So we have to keep on doing something, and we have to live every day like it is a fast for us. Hazrat Zunnun Misri rahmatullah ta'ala famously said that, that this life is of one day, and in that one day we are fasting. Right? I mean, it's very profound if you think about it, that what do we do during fasts, right? We stay away from certain things, we do certain things, whether we like it or not. And this is why this month is also called the month of sabr. Right? A month of sabr. And sabr is really that you hold yourself when something happens contrary to what you want, contrary to your nafs. Tabiyat ke khilaf, anything that happens and you hold yourself, you don't react to it, that is sabr. And so we do sabr, Bhook lag rahi hoti hai, then like, no, I have to wait till iftar. Pyas lag rahi hoti, you're thirsty, and then, no, I have to wait till iftar. Right? Anything like that. And even like other sins that we stay away from, we do sabr on that. I'm fasting, anasa'im, so I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to control my tongue, I'm going to control my gaze, I'm going to control my thought. And really, again, as I said, Ramadan is a microcosm of our whole life. The whole life, we just do sabr over certain things. That's just what we do. Right? Whether those things are good or bad, that's just, that's a separate discussion. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it, we just do it. Just like if you think about it, fasting, it doesn't benefit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any ways. Right? Nothing does. Right? So why ask me not to eat and drink? You gave me halal and tayyib food. Right? Why can't I eat? Because it's for my own good. So staying away from certain things and doing certain things, it is our own good. And this is why ulama have written that sabr, one sabr is that sabr al-ita'ah, that you do sabr over ita'at, because sometimes you just don't feel like doing things. Right? I have to do extra sunnahs, I have to do extra nawafil. Can I just read one ruku and not one para? Muraqbah, I just can't control my thoughts. Can't I just do one tasbih of this and one tasbih of that? So this is the sabr that we have to do, that you have to force yourself sometimes, and that's okay. Right? It's not going to be that every single time you do, stand up for prayer, it's going to be a mi'raj for you, and you're just going to go into this other dimension of spirituality. And even if that's not the case, we still have to do itaat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because our abdiyat demands it. We are abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is sabr anil ma'asiyah. Same thing. That, sometimes the tabiyat really, it's like, the dhikr. Kitna khoobsurat shakhs hai, look at that. You just feel like doing it, and you can't control your gaze, and, smartphones sometimes feels very appealing, and, certain websites and internet and all of that. And, let me check out this and let me check out that, and to do sabr, being patient over the ma'asiyah. Again, you have to force yourself. You don't want to, and there is burden in that. There's burden in that, and that's okay. That's what we do. Self-restraint that's why it's called restraint, because you're burdening yourself. So this is what our life is, that you have to do sabr over ma'asiyah as well. Your nafs wants you to take this way, and you hold it and you bring it back into submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does it require mujahidah? More than you can imagine, because nafs is so strong, itna strong, toba, badtameez. it doesn't want to let go. It just comes back and bites you, and it's ajeeb. And sometimes you get tired of it, but it doesn't get tired of holding you. ऐसी अजीब चीज़ है कि physically you might be drained, but your nafs is still pulling you in one direction. It's so ajeeb. Like नींद भी आ रही होगी, and then it's like, no, get up and do this and do this, and so it's such weird control that it has over us. So we have to push it aside. And the ulama have written that it is more important to do this kind of sabr, meaning staying away from a life of sin, outward, inward, ikhlaqi, whatever the case might be, than to do like extra, let's say, good deeds. Like you have to, because that is something you really have to do. Doing extra good deeds, etc. That's just showing that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you love Him. But here you're actually showing that you are an abd of Allah, and that is something Allah ta'ala demands. So it is more important to leave sins that we might be indulged in, or the proper word is that we might be addicted to. Because sins are an addiction like any drug. And it's actually, if you look at the neuroscience behind it, this is very true. What we call the dopamine effect. The sins that we are used to, we train our brains to do certain actions and habits and whatnot, and we associated that high of dopamine with it. And so it's very difficult to come out of, just like any drug. Somebody's on heroin, it's going to be very difficult for that person to let go because of how the brain changes. The brain chemistry changes. The same thing with sins. The brain chemistry changes. And you have to again pull it back, go against your basic instincts as a haywan, right? We are haywani natiq, but it's still like the animalistic instincts within us. You have to go against them. And the third is sabr ala musibah, that any kind of musibah that comes from Allah Ta'ala, trials, everybody faces them. First, we have to get it through our minds that we're not special. Even at this point in time, there are 8 billion of human beings. We're not special, and there were many who lived before us. Great people lived before us, and many will come after us as well. So we are like a speck in this world. Here, in the bigger, picture of things, we're here for what? Like 50, 60 years is nothing. It's nothing, Talk about light years and all of that, and we can't even get to Mars, and we're nothing. And so, in the grand scheme of things, like 14 billion years of the known universe, right? Not what is beyond that, wallahu alam. Nobody knows what's beyond that. Meaning we don't know what's beyond it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah, what a khaliq He is. That our aql just, in 60 years out of that 14 billion years, that's nothing. It's a speck. So everybody faces trials and tribulations. Every person, sometimes people are healthy, sometimes they're sick, sometimes they're rich, sometimes they're poor, sometimes they're young, sometimes they're old. It's just sometimes there's izzah, sometimes there's, villa, so it's just part of life. And through all of that, we have to do sabr and make sure that our ta'alluq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remains untainted. It remains untainted. That is something we cannot lose. That is something we cannot risk. Anything else in our life, we can sacrifice. Everything can be sacrificed, but the ta'alluq with Allah ta'ala. That is the most essential, the most precious thing we have. This iman, our ta'alluq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't destroy that ta'alluq over something as meager and as, as I wouldn't say useless, but as this dunya, right? Which has been created, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not looked at it with love, not even once. But look at how many times we look at it with love. Huh? दिन में 50 दफा तो करते ही. We're driving, look at that car, look at that house, look at that person, look at this, look at that, look at this. Look at this, it's like covet this, covet that, covet this, covet that. सुबह से रात तक हसरतों के मारे. इन हसरतों से कह दो कहीं और जहाँ बसे, इतनी जगह कहाँ है इस दिल दागदार में. हसरत समझते हैं कि हर चीज़ के बारे में लॉन्गिंग करते रहना, बस दुनिया के बारे में लॉन्गिंग लॉन्गिंग लॉन्गिंग. ये हाय हाय ये मिल जाए, हाय हाय. हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमां लेकिन फिर भी कम निकले. Because there is no end to desires and ख्वाहिशात. I can desire everything. There is no end to it. And the ajeeb thing is, when you get something, now the next desire comes in. Then you उसके पीछे भागते रहते हो, then the third one comes in, उसके पीछे भागते रहते हो, then fourth one comes in, and fifth, and so it just doesn't end. That is a thirst that just doesn't get quenched. It's like drinking seawater. You keep on drinking it, you get more thirsty. So obeying the thirst of our nafs is exactly like that. You keep on feeding it, वो कहता और दो मोटा होता जाता. So again, what does Ramadan teach us? Control it. Control your nafs, and even control it, of course control it with your desires, but even sometimes reasonable things that you need, even control it then. Khana pina is something we need, and control it. So inshallah ta'ala, we should remind ourselves, and we should really focus on this falsafa of Ramadan and reorient ourselves accordingly. So inshallah we look at the whole life like that. The whole life, we exercise self-control, we become people who have restraint, we become people who will do our utmost to do sabr, whether it is over atat or ma'asiyah or musibah. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen, wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.